So, you're buying or selling a home. It's a huge deal, right? The stakes are high. But what if I told you that the most important player on your team might not actually be playing for your team at all? Let's figure out who's really on your side.
You'd think it would be simple. The agent showing you houses works for you, the one with the sign in the yard works for the seller. But in the world of real estate, oh boy, those lines of loyalty can get super blurry. And that's when things can get, well, a little risky for you.
You know, this whole question of who's on my team became such a massive problem that the state of California literally had to step in and create a legal framework just to clear up all the confusion. The goal was pretty simple: to make sure you know, without a shadow of a doubt, who is on your side.
And what they came up with is what we're going to call the official rulebook. It's actually a law passed way back in 1988 called the Agency Disclosure Law. Think of it as the guide that's designed specifically to protect consumers, people like you and me. And this law has some serious teeth. It's not a suggestion. It mandates that for pretty much any home sale, or even a lease that's longer than a year, agents must use a specific form to declare who they work for. This isn't just more paperwork, it's a legally required document that spells everything out in black and white.
Okay, so to really get this rulebook, we've got to know the players in the game. The law defines very specific roles and duties for every agent involved, and understanding them is absolutely crucial.
Think of it like this. The seller's agent is the seller's champion, period. Their legal duty, their entire mission, is to get the highest price and the best terms for the person selling that house. Now, the buyer's agent is the complete opposite. They are the buyer's champion, and their job is to fight for the lowest price and the best possible deal for their client. In a perfect world, these two teams are totally separate.
Now, let's clear up a couple of things that trip a lot of people up. First, when we say an agent represents you exclusively, that just means for your deal. Of course they have other clients. And here's the big one. Who pays the commission has nothing to do with who the agent works for. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the written agreement. That document is the final word on who's really on your team.
But what happens when those clear lines of loyalty get all tangled up? This is where we get into the trickiest, most controversial situation in all of real estate: dual agency.
So what is dual agency? It's when one single broker is on both sides of the deal. This might be just one agent working with both the buyer and the seller. Or, and this happens a lot, it's two different agents who work for the same company. Either way, that one brokerage now has a legal duty to two people who want completely opposite things. You can see the problem, right?
And the law itself shows you just how big of a tightrope this is. I mean, check this out. A dual agent is legally forbidden from telling a buyer the seller's secret bottom line price or telling a seller how high a buyer might be willing to go unless they get written permission. Basically, all the best negotiation secrets, they have to stay locked in a vault.
So the dual agent's role completely changes. They can't be a coach for team buyer or team seller anymore. They have to become more like a neutral referee, just making sure the transaction is handled fairly. But they can't give any secret plays or confidential advice to one side that would hurt the other.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this is interesting, but why does it really matter? Well, getting these roles wrong isn't just about good business practice. It's about avoiding some pretty serious legal and financial risks. When things get confused, the consequences can be huge for everyone.
And to show you just how high the stakes can get, let's talk about something called sub-agency. It sounds complicated, but here's the gist. The seller's agent gets another broker to help find a buyer. Now, here's the kicker. That new broker, they also work for the seller, even though they're the one bringing the buyer to the party.
And this is where it can get kind of scary for a seller. Let's say that sub-agent, that other broker, makes a mistake. A simple error, a missed detail. Under the law, that mistake travels right up the chain and lands squarely on the seller. Think about that. You, as the seller, could be held legally and financially responsible for the screw-up of an agent you have never even met. This is why being crystal clear about who works for who is so important.
At the end of the day, these rules aren't just suggestions. They come with serious consequences. For an agent, ignoring these laws can mean losing their license. But for a buyer or a seller, the stakes are even higher. It can mean a terrible deal or being hit with a massive financial liability you never saw coming.
So what's the key to navigating all of this? It all comes back to that agency disclosure form. Seriously, think of it as your shield and your guide. It cuts through all the potential confusion and forces everyone to declare, on paper, who they are fighting for. Understanding that single piece of paper is what empowers you to make the right choice.
So the next time you step into the real estate arena, you'll be armed with this knowledge. You'll know the rules of the game. The only question left is, who do you want on your team?